Hello and welcome back to Cleantech Deep Dive.
Great to be back.
In our last discussion, we explored the innovative technologies absolutely crucial for modernizing our smart grids.
We did, looking at the tech needed for a more resilient future.
Exactly. And today we're turning our attention to a significant real-world event that, well, it starkly highlights the importance of having that reliable energy infrastructure we talked about.
Indeed. It's almost like a case study landed right on our doorstep, just as we were looking at, the future of energy reliability.
Mm.
A powerful reminder of its present-day fragility unfolded very recently.
Yeah, we're diving into the major power outage that swept across Spain and Portugal just yesterday, Monday, April 28th,
A
2025.
huge event.
It really was. And to get a handle on what happened, we've gathered information from several news outlets, the Associated Press, The Guardian, Al Jazeera,
Good sources.
and also some interesting background data on global blackout statistics, just for context.
Okay, so our mission today is clear, right? We want to understand the anatomy of this blackout.
What exactly unfolded? What are the currently understood causes?
And importantly, what could the broader implications be? We know you're looking for a clear and thorough picture without getting bogged down, so we'll be extracting the key insights from these sources.
Okay, let's unpack this then. This blackout hit on Monday, April 28th, 2025.
Just yesterday.
And the scope was massive, wasn't it?
Huge.
We're talking about a region with a combined population of around 60 million people, Spain and Portugal.
Absolutely. And the impact was widespread. It touched, well, pretty much every aspect of daily life. It wasn't just lights going out.
No, far from it. The reports detail grounded flights, metro systems grinding to a halt.
Communications, too, right? Mobile networks.
Yeah, mobile communications being disrupted, even ATMs shutting down. Think about that ripple effect.
Shops having to close.
Traffic becoming a nightmare, train services completely suspended.
Total paralysis in some areas.
It even affected significant events like the Spanish Parliament session and the Madrid Open tennis tournament. Imagine.
Wow. And what's fascinating here is the immediate impact on individuals.
Yeah.
People found themselves stranded at major train stations. You saw reports from Madrid, Atocha, Barcelona saying...
Big hubs.
Big hubs, yeah. And people trapped in elevators over in Lisbon. And just the simple act of getting cash became impossible for many.
It really underscores our dependence, doesn't it, on that constant flow of electricity in modern life.
It really, really does.
But, it wasn't all negative, it seems. Some reports mentioned communities kind of pulling together.
Oh, like how?
Well, people apparently directing traffic themselves in Barcelona, neighbors interacting more, checking on each other. It's interesting how a crisis can sometimes foster those unexpected connections.
That's a crucial point. While the disruption was significant, those moments of community resilience are important to acknowledge.
Definitely.
They highlight the human element, in the face of systemic failure.
And thankfully, the recovery seems to have been relatively swift.
That's good news.
By Tuesday morning, so this morning, power was largely restored. Spain reported over 92% recovery by 5 a.m.
That's pretty quick for such a large-scale event.
It is, and Prime Minister Sanchez pledged full restoration by the end of today, Tuesday.
Okay. This rapid recovery, while positive, might also indicate, effective redundancy and fail-safes built into the grid to some extent.
True.
However, the fact that what seems like a localized disconnection could cascade so significantly, well, that suggests potential vulnerabilities. Maybe in the system's ability to isolate faults or manage sudden drops in generation.
Which is a challenge, right? Especially with more distributed renewable sources coming online.
Exactly. But let's look closer at what might have triggered this in the first place.
Right. So the cause, what do we actually know so far? The Spanish electricity operator, Red Electrica, REE, they conducted a preliminary investigation.
Okay.
And one of the first things they did was rule out a cyber attack.
That's a key piece of information, isn't it? Especially today. Concerns about digital infrastructure security are so high. It's reassuring that a cyber attack seems unlikely. But given how sophisticated these threats are becoming, why might they be so confident in reading it out so quickly, I wonder? Did they elaborate?
Not in huge detail in these initial reports, but REE indicated 2 consecutive disconnection events.
Okay, 2 events.
Yeah, down in the southwest of Spain, which is a major hub for solar energy generation, by the way.
Ah, interesting. Solar.
These happened within a second and a half of each other at 12:32 p.m.
Wow, back to back like that.
Exactly. Their initial assessment suggests a generation disconnection.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It essentially means a significant power source abruptly stopped feeding electricity into the grid.
Just stopped.
Yeah. They believe the system could handle the first event, the first disconnection, but the second one, happening so close, pushed it over the edge.
The system couldn't cope with the double hit.
That seems to be the initial theory. But
Mm.
they're very clear that further investigation is needed to understand why these disconnections happen in the first place.
Right, the root cause of the disconnection itself.
Mm.
In a region like southwest Spain, with lots of solar farms, that could be various things, couldn't it?
Mm.
Technical glitches at a plant, maybe,
Yeah.
or issues with the transmission lines connecting it.
Precisely. And the fact that it originated in a significant area for renewable energy generation, well, that will undoubtedly lead to questions about integration and stability,
Hmm. Although Prime Minister Sanchez himself has apparently ruled out an excess of renewable energy as the cause.
Right, he did say that. It wasn't too much solar power overwhelming things, according to him.
So if the grid is generally considered robust, what kind of initial failure could cascade like this?
Mm-hmm.
Are there known vulnerabilities, maybe, in that specific region's infrastructure tied to solar? Lots of questions still.
Loads of questions. And it's worth noting again that both Spanish and Portuguese authorities, including Portugal's National Cybersecurity Center,
Right.
as well as top EU officials, the European Council President, a Commission VP, they've all stated they've seen no evidence of a cyber attack or sabotage.
Okay, so a pretty unified front there. Adds weight to REE's initial assessment, ruling out cyber for now.
Seems like it.
What about some of the other theories? I saw something mentioned about atmospheric phenomena.
Ah, yes, that was a bit confusing. Portugal's grid operator, RN, was initially reported to have suggested a rare atmospheric phenomenon causing a severe temperature imbalance.
Yeah, okay.
But then apparently they denied issuing that specific statement later on.
Oh, right. So initial confusion, maybe misreporting.
It seems like it. It really highlights how chaotic information flow can be right after something like this happens. You have to wait for the verified stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And did the weather agencies back up the atmospheric idea?
No, quite the opposite. Spain's meteorological agency, AEMAT, chimed in saying they found no unusual weather or atmospheric conditions at the time.
So probably safe to rule that one out for now then.
Seems that way. The focus really seems to be on those generation disconnection events identified by Red Electrica.
Okay. So what's the official response been like? Governments must have reacted strongly.
Understandably so, yeah. Given the impact, both the Spanish and Portuguese governments held crisis meetings this morning, Tuesday morning.
Makes sense.
And Prime Minister Sanchez in Spain made it very clear they intend to get to the bottom of this, to prevent it happening again.
As you'd expect.
He announced a government commission to investigate fully. And interestingly, this investigation will also look into the role of private energy companies.
Ah, okay. So a comprehensive approach, not just technical, but looking at operations, maybe regulation, the whole picture.
Seems like it. And even more interestingly, perhaps, Spain's highest criminal court is also getting involved.
The criminal court. Why?
They're launching an investigation into the blackout as a potential act of computer sabotage against critical infrastructure.
But didn't REE and the cybersecurity centers rule out a cyber attack?
They did, based on their initial findings. So, yeah, it's a bit curious.
Does that suggest maybe the court isn't fully convinced, or perhaps they have a different threshold, a different scope for their investigation?
That's a pertinent question. It could just be a precautionary measure, ensuring absolutely every angle is explored, especially given how serious an attack on critical infrastructure would be.
True. The scope of a criminal investigation might be broader, looking at potential intent or negligence in ways the grid operator's technical probe wouldn't.
Could be. And it's not just a national issue either. The EU is also stepping in.
Brussels is looking into it.
Yeah, they want to look into the incident, draw lessons, consider any necessary actions. They specifically noted the unprecedented magnitude of the outage.
Well, that underscores the interconnectedness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Energy systems in the EU are linked. A failure in one place can potentially ripple outwards.
Exactly.
Now, putting this into a slightly broader context, you mentioned these kinds of widespread failures are quite rare, right, in the Iberian Peninsula and Europe generally.
That's right. Very rare, which really highlights how unusual this event was.
Why is that, typically? Why are they so rare?
Well, it likely stems from, Robust regulations developed over years, significant investments in grid infrastructure over decades,
Hmm.
and also increasing levels of interconnection between national grids. That allows countries to support each other if there's a localized problem, usually.
Right, that cross-border support helps maintain stability.
But clearly something went wrong this time on a larger scale.
And we've certainly seen discussions around energy security in Europe recently, haven't we? Especially with the ongoing energy crisis.
Absolutely.
Experts have raised concerns in the past. I remember reading about someone, Herbert Sarek, back in 2022, warning about the potential for widespread outages due to various factors like the complexity of interconnected systems leading to cascades or cybersecurity threats.
Right.
Now, we're not saying this blackout is directly linked to those specific predictions without clear evidence, of course.
No, we need to wait for the investigations.
Exactly. Yeah. But this event definitely brings those broader vulnerabilities into sharper focus for you, the listener. It highlights the complexities of keeping the lights on reliably.
It really does. And with our increasing reliance on digital infrastructure for everything,
Everything.
a major outage like this just shows the potential impact, doesn't it, on so many critical sectors, finance, transport, communications, you name it.
Mm. Think about a prolonged outage, disrupting payments, logistics, even emergency services potentially.
It's quite sobering.
The interconnectedness of modern society means a disruption in one essential service, like electricity, can just cascade so quickly and affect so many others.
Yeah.
This event is a powerful illustration of that interdependency, something we should all consider, as we become more and more reliant on these complex systems.
So let's try and summarize what we've learned in this deep dive. We had a significant and currently unexplained power outage hit Spain and Portugal.
Causing widespread disruption on Monday, April 28th.
Initial investigations by Red Electrica, the Spanish operator, point towards a generation disconnection, maybe two, in quick succession in southwest Spain as the likely trigger.
Right, while cyber attack and unusual weather have been, for now at least, ruled out based on initial checks.
And investigations are underway at multiple levels, national governments in both countries, Spain's criminal court, and the EU to really pinpoint the exact cause.
And crucially, to implement measures to prevent this kind of thing from happening again.
That's a concise overview. This event, while obviously disruptive, it really underscores the complexity of these modern energy systems we rely on.
And the importance of robust monitoring, resilience, and rapid response capabilities.
Absolutely. The recent blackout serves as a powerful reminder of how critical it is for nations to work together in strengthening and modernizing our energy infrastructure.
Couldn't agree more. Collaboration is key.
Thank you for joining us on today's Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time on Cleantech Deep Dive.